Good evening, everybody. It's Coach Pitt with Pitt Viper Sports, and tonight we have Coach Russ Murray with us from the Charlton County Indians. Coach Murray is the head football coach. Welcome to the show, Coach Murray. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Bill. Thanks for having me, Coach. I
We're
really
so happy,
appreciate it.
so happy to have you. Tonight we'll be talking about Charlton County Indian football and the new region y'all in, getting out of the region of doom, which cannot be a bad thing. But let's talk about the team this year. I heard some good things going on. Last year, you guys were 7-4, got in the playoffs, advanced around. And this year, probably looking for bigger and better things with a lot of kids that have been with you for 4 years now. So if you would, Coach, tell us a little about the program, what's going on with y'all, and what you think about this year's team.
Well, I mean, this year we do have some expectations for them. I mean, these kids, majority of the starters on the team, they were freshmen 4 years ago. Now they're seniors, and they've grown each year. Daily and monthly and yearly. And we have. You look at our record, we've got progressively better as it goes. Last year didn't end the way we wanted it to, but it did. So we had a challenge in the off season. To tell we expect more. And they've responded, and we just have to wait to see how it goes.
Right. Now, as you said, Coach, talked about expecting more, and you're at a school in a place that got used to a lot more for a long time. You have the ability to have what I thought was one of the toughest jobs in the state. You had to take over a program where you followed a legend, and you got to take over a program that you inherited most of your staff. It wasn't probably the best situation for the time being, but definitely earned it. What was it like following Rich McWhorter, and how was that changing and being around his staff and being part of his staff for so many years?
Well, it was huge shoes to fill. I mean, I just saw an article in the AJC about Coach Herron, getting his 300th win. Rich has already got that, and
Right.
the majority of those wins, were right here in the swamp and places that we played. And we got hit by graduation harder than I was here for 24 years before I took over as head coach. And of the 24 years, the last 2 years he was here, we were really hit hard with graduation. I mean, 15 to 16 kids leaving the program, and he left, and he left at a good time. Not that that's why he left. There were other reasons, and he had a great opportunity up in Jackson County, and for that reason, I almost didn't try to get the job, because I knew it was going to be a huge challenge for whoever came in, not just to follow his footsteps, but what we had left on the roster. And I thought about it and prayed about it and really, really thought about it. And I said, you know what? I don't want what he's built. And you know what I'd say we built, because I was here with him for a long time, 24
Right.
years. I didn't just want to see that fall apart. I wanted to be the guy to kind of salvage it, and I tell you what, back in 2020, or 2019, that was rough, man. I mean, it was tough sitting on that sideline, and taking those nine losses after, I'd look over at the gym and see all those things we have painted on the gym and in our weight room. And it was tough, but, I had to assess what we had, and we had a bunch of freshmen, and we just had to, I kind of adopted that win today motto, and it's still one that we hold on to today. We just try to win each day, and we got better, as the season went on. I remember I think we'd finished we were like 1-5, and we had lost to Clinch, and Clinch beat us. I mean, bad. And I told my weight room guys, all right, we're going to just start off season today, Monday. We're going to start it Monday, and we started lifting hard, and we got stronger, and here we are 3 years later, with stronger kids and more athletic kids than they were. And it's been a journey. And it was tough, though. That first year was tough, and we got through it. And I hope for a lot, some better things this year for sure.
Without a doubt, without a doubt, it's your program now. There's no doubt about that. Go ahead and talk to me a little bit about your staff. I mean, when you came in, you inherited a bunch of guys, but now it's your guys. And I know
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
the biggest hires probably for the community when Joe Higgins came back this year, which for people that don't know, Joe Higgins is a legend in the swamp. And I mean, I imagine that's been a big adjustment, a big,
Oh, yeah.
big boost for everybody seeing him back on the sidelines. And I know you're probably very excited about that for the program. So go ahead and tell us a little about staff and let us know who you got.
Yeah, well, I'll go ahead and talk. I will save Joe for last, because that's the biggest thing. But I have my third offensive coordinator this year because my offensive coordinator he went into administration and uh and I have Kevin Stevenson who spent a long time at Waycross Middle, working. I think he started working with Coach Ed Dudley at Ware County with the JV and the varsity. And Coach had changes up there. He went and ran Waycross Middle, and running that program is like almost like running a small high school,
Right.
And so he worked that did that well. And he came up to me, was a assistant last year, and I like the things he does. And we basically do the same thing that like when you were here coaching with us. Now we run a little bit of the Hal Mummy stuff along with some with some run and gun, you might say, stuff. What do you call that? West Coast stuff. Where then we do that, and I like what he does. He keeps it simple. The kids really picked up on his terminology and whatnot, and I'm excited about that. And then I have one of your old players. He played on our state championship in '99. Brian Lloyd, offensive line coach, and he's from here, and he really does a great job. And I've watched him grow. He moved up to the varsity. I brought him up with me. He was coaching junior high, and he replaced my job. I was the offensive line coach, and I've watched him grow the last 4 years with the boys too. And another offensive coach I have is Brent Wilds. He played linebacker for us, and he went and snapped over at Valdosta State and played good running back for us and things. But he was mainly a linebacker, but he's doing a great job. This is his first year with us now. On the defensive side, I have Jeff Swing, who he married one of John Larsey's daughters, and
Oh,
he
really?
moved here. He used to be he was a cop. He got a degree in criminal justice, but he loved football. He'd come to the games when he was he was dating Megan, and I could tell it was in him. And when they got married, he got to talking to me. I said, "Yeah, come on," and he decided to get back in to start teaching, and he coached when he does a great job there. And I got Coach Higgins, well, I'm sorry. Let me Coach Wittenberg, Zach Wittenberg, who's been with me. And Zach can coach everything. He can coach every position. He can coach, I believe, every sport. He's one of the smartest dudes I've ever been around. I mean, he was working with us with Rich, and he came to Rich one day and said, I think I want to be a air traffic controller. We looked at him because you got to be a smart dude to do
Right.
that, but he was getting at that age where he was going to be too old if he didn't do it. And Rich was like, "Shoot, man, go ahead," because he was one of the guys you always want to better yourself. So he went and he graduated top of his class. He did it for a couple of years, and I don't like this. So he got back into coaching, and he does a great job for us too. And then we got Coach Higgins. I don't know how in the world we got him to come, but I guess it was about time for him to come home.
Oh, yeah.
Joe, I guess he's a little younger than me. Joe's like 48. He played here back in Rich's, first teams, and he played with Ronald and Chad and all those guys, and he went off and had a great career at Purdue, and then he played several years in the CFL and won a Grey Cup, and he coached football up in Canada, high school and the collegiate level in Canada for a number of years. And last year came back to the States for the first time, and he was I, I think it was Liberty University right outside of Chicago. I'm not sure, but they have a campus in Florida, and he was down visiting, so he had to come by the school, and we talked and kind of hinted around, "Hey, when you going to come home?" And yeah, I don't know. He said, "I don't know." And then my long since I started, my defense coordinator slash strength coach, he had to go, and he decided he needed to go take care of some family stuff, and so he moved back home over to Berrien County, and he's working with Downs County staff now. And there was a spot, the perfect spot, defense coordinator, and so I called Joe, and through some help with Dusty, Phillips, and my AD, we talked to him, and he said, "Oh, I'd love it. This is the right time." So he packed all his bags from that college, and he came down and started with us this summer. And it's about the kids love him. I mean, like you said, he's a legend. I mean, they see him, they see his pictures from college, and they see his pictures from the CFL. Is they're planted in the weight room. They've seen him all their life, going in the weight room, and they actually see him. And he's a dude that backs up that legend status too. And I can't wait to see the guys grow under him. He's got a lot of experience to help the guys, what they need for, to go on beyond high school. He's been out of Folkestone, Georgia, so he can tell them, about life outside of Folkestone. And we're excited about that. And I'm looking forward to this year working with him for sure.
Now, one thing you got this year that, is back at what Folkestone had for years is you got some really big time recruits coming through. And tell me a little bit about how that, seeing those college coaches come by, checking in, how did that impact the kids as a whole?
That's one thing, we got to throw in what's been going on the last several years. Oh my gosh, that pandemic and that it turned the world upside down. It went from, of course, I didn't have any kids back in 2019 and 20. I had a few 20 that could have played some mid-major, whatever, but they just missed out on it because everybody stopped recruiting.
Right.
They didn't hit the trails, and then this portal they got. I mean, it was just to start coaching when I did. It would probably, if I hadn't been doing it so long, I probably would have already hung it up because it was just so different than anything that I'd experienced here. We were so lucky for years around here having those big time recruits, and just having college coaches in our halls every day. And that stopped because number one, we didn't have them, but number two, they stopped hitting the trail too.
Right.
And it was so great having them come in this winter. And it wasn't, and nothing wrong with the smaller schools. Valdosta, West Georgia, and Kennesaw, and those guys would all, and Southern Georgia Southern would always come by. But I mean, we're getting guys, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida State, those guys
Right.
coming through Folkestone again, and they're not just coming because they have to. We're on US1, but they're coming to see some of my guys, and I think that's awesome. That's a testament to what my assistants have done and what my players have done to get to that point. I mean, they've gotten, they've worked so hard in the weight room and things to become the players they are, and the classroom too.
Right.
We really stay on them, and I tell my kids all the time, the first thing they look at is the transcript. They don't pass the transcript, they're not even going to talk to you. So, and it's been great. Like I said, I don't even know how to describe how great it's been to see those guys back in our school. On all the college coaches that's come through. I mean, I've just been excited for any of them to come through. And that's something that didn't go along. Didn't go for a long time, and I'm glad it's back.
I imagine so. Now, big change this year, of course, everybody in Class A and Double A and Triple A were greatly affected by the reclassification. And you guys, coming out of the legendary Legion of Doom, the Legion of Doom, people don't understand, for years, the state champion, and most of the time the state champion and the runner-up came from y'all's region. Just nobody knew which was going to be which. I mean, Irwin won it, Clinch won it, Brooks won it.
Yeah, that's right.
So you could be a really good football program.
Yeah.
And, they weren't slowing down to let anybody catch up.
That's right. And that's another thing. When I started, we were fighting for number 3 and 4. Everybody's fighting for number 3 in the region when Brooks and Irwin there. They were just so far ahead of us, I know, and really the rest of the region. Even Clint's hung with them for a couple of years, but I mean, last year and the last 2 years, they've just been so far ahead of both of everyone in the region. And I could say it was numbers. You can say all that. No, they worked hard, and it was their time. We used to be like that here.
Right.
And it was their time. Everything's fit the right kind of athletes, the right coaches, and things gelled for them. I was not sad at all about the reclassification the way it worked. Nor was anybody in our region. I like those coaches and things, but I I wasn't sad to see them go because now we have a chance to fight for number one instead of for number three.
Right.
And I think all the coaches in this region would agree for that. I mean, Coach McGowan, he said it at ACO. He's like, hey, now I think I got a legitimate chance to make the playoffs. I didn't have that because 1 and 2 was locked up, and then you had Turner, Clinch, and Charlton fighting for the 3 and 4 spot, and Lanier as well. And we're all excited in this region about that, you know, and we all got a shot, so we'll see how it goes.
Great, Coach. Now this part of the program we kind of talk about, belief system. And everybody I've talked to, definitely one of the questions I ask them is, what are some of the things that you built your program on? What are some of the things that you have your absolutes with? What are some of the things that are the beliefs of your program that you want your kids to know before they leave?
Well, I had a great teacher. Rich was here for so long, and I worked for 24 years for him, and there was things that, and it just like everybody else, I picked from him what I liked the most and held on to, which was a lot, and then I chose not to really highlight some of the stuff he did too. But we're going to do the right thing. You're going to behave. Not just you're going to behave all the time. I mean, our code of conduct is 24/7. You're going to do the right thing in school, of course. During football, out in athletics, you're going to do the right thing, and you're going to do it at home too. And if you can't behave in those 3 rounds, then you can't play for us, and they know that. And we're going to do our best. The biggest motto that we have is trying to win today. I tell them all the time, we use coach, and I've used examples in my life and other coaches too. You've got to try to win today, no matter what it is. You've got to pay your electric bill. There's things get in the way. You've got to do it. Things get in the way. You still have to do it. So you got to do your best. So those 2 things, I guess, behaving and being the right person, not a distraction, to the football team nor the school, and doing your best. Those are probably the 2 things that I've built this program around, and I think it's worked. I have, we had discipline problems went down at the school. I have very seldom do I have kids in trouble because they know, oh, Coach Bird didn't play about that at ISS because they will have to run forever for that, and they know that. I think it's been positive, especially for our grades. Our grades are improving too. I had no kids whatsoever had to go to summer school this year, and I was so excited about that. You always had that one kid that has to do that one unit or half a unit, and not one. My graduation coach came to me. He goes, "No, you don't have any." I said, "What?" And I was excited. And I looked. I did have the whole program. I had 74 kids at the time, and I had 1 kid that had failed a class. And out of 74, multiply it by 4 or multiply it by 8, that's a lot.
Right.
And I only have one class, and I was excited about that. So, doing the right thing and trying to do your best, those are the 2 most things I built my program around.
That's awesome. Now, people don't know that. I mean, one of the things I loved about being at Folks when I was there, and I still love about the place I've been at, is a small town atmosphere. When Friday night rolls around, everybody's at the ball game. What's that been like being from home? That is your home. Grew up in the program, played in the program, brother was in the program. Now it's your program. What's kind of like being home, being the guy in charge when the lights come on Friday night?
Well, sometimes, it can be a lot of pressure because I don't really want the fame for us to win. I just don't want the program to fail. I want us to just keep getting better. I don't care who gets the credit for it. But when I played here back in the 80s, we won 3 ball games at the most a year. And when Rich got here and turned things, well, Jeff Lee had, they went 500, but when Rich got here, we really took off. And I didn't ever want to go. We never wanted to go back, and I still don't want to go back. We had that horrendous year, my first year, but that was what I really look back on that year, and I think we won today because that's all we could do. I had to, schedule was like it was. We were playing Apple and people like that, but we just tried our best, and I strive for that every day, not to be a disappointment to this program, And I think I'm succeeding in it, but we'll see. You know, I hope to have a lot more years here. And, you know, some of these kids, I just got through watching them 7th, 8th grade. I hope I get to coach them all the way through and things. But, you know, and I sit back sometimes and I go, wow, I'm supposed to be like the head guy. I'm the head of football in Charlton County, and it's kind of surreal sometimes.
Right.
I'm excited about it. You know, I miss the down coaching with the offensive line and stuff. I hate kind of doing what I'm doing, but I love talking about the program. But I got to do all these meetings and this, and I got I don't mind. Like I drove to Thomaston yesterday to speak for one of my kids and stuff like have to do all this stuff, and I really miss the coaching part. But I do dig being the guy, but I don't dig all the work that goes into it. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could just teach and coach, but somebody's got to do it. And I know I know how much I love this program, and so I'm going to continue to put my best in it so I can keep it up to the level that Coach McWhorter and guys like you and myself, that we got it up to, and of course I've got guys on my staff that played under that, so we're going to push it too. So, when I decide to take away, hopefully they'll just fill it in.
Exactly. Now, you just mentioned that. I was going to ask you about that. What's it like having all those guys that are from the program back? How
Well,
is that
yeah,
transition?